Beautiful music there, Nancy the Pigeon. Very lovely music, and we hope to hear more as we continue with our news review right here on Power Breakfast with my panelists, Senator Beatrice Elachi and Rosa Buyu, Deputy Organizing Secretary, ODM. And we now want to come back to our reality and forget about the good positive stories and talk about corruption in government institutions. Corruption in government institutions, and of course the probe into the alleged possible loss of funds at the Ministry of Health continues. The Senate's Health Committee yesterday was grilling Bernard Mushere, the Health Ministry Head of Internal Audit, who originated this dossier, and that continues elsewhere. The Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly gave a press conference and revealed that about 28 banks could be involved in handling money that was siphoned from the National Youth Service. Now this is worrying because I think we only took a break to watch the US elections last week. Now we're back to our reality. Corruption again. But there seems to be this feeling of helplessness, or the fact that we could be engaging in an exercise in futility through these committees of Parliament and the Senate. Because even yesterday, the PSC chairman, Nicholas Gumbo, was saying that yes, we've discovered that every time we probe a different person, something new comes up, a new company is mentioned, a new bank is mentioned here and there, and so we're actually tracing this money from where it started to where it's going. But question is, hey, isn't that what the DCI is doing? Isn't that what the EACC is doing? What exactly are these processes of Parliament meant to achieve?
I'm not in Parliament, but as an outsider who is interested in the affairs of the country, my take is, if your mandate is oversighting, oversighting is a continuous process. I'm supposed to check on what you're doing as you do it at different stages. I don't think oversighting means judgment, because what we are seeing these parliamentary committees doing, they wait, they sleep, and then when something comes up is when they take it up, and now they want to become judges. They want to become, they want to investigate, they become investigator, and they become judges, while the courts are already doing the same thing. So I don't know, somebody needs to tell me what this oversighting is all about. Because if you look at the cases of the NYS, those cases are already in court now, and the committee has also taken it up. So there's a lot of wastage of time, wastage of funds, because we are doubling and doing the same thing. In my mind, I think that oversighting role of Parliament would be, while the processes are going on, there should be oversighting to ensure that we don't get to this level. But they seem to wait. When we get to this point and the whistle is blown, then they take it up and now purport to do exactly the same job that the courts are now doing. So there's a problem there. I also seem to think that, and I watch what goes on because you show it live on TV. There seems to be some, I don't think the committees are actually doing their jobs to the best of their ability. There's a lot of underhand.
Do you think they're genuine in what they do?
I don't think they're genuine, because if they were genuine, I would have expected Senator Murkomen, I would have expected, what's his name again, the Deputy President's aide, to also be called here. How come when people are mentioned, they are called to come to before the committees, and certain people are not called to come before the committees? That means there are some people who are protected, and probably those people who are being protected are the people who are the key people with exactly exact knowledge of what has happened. Yes. You know?
Senator, of course, you're a member of Parliament, and when it comes to these committees and the proceedings that are televised live, as Rosa Buyu said, they tend to whip up a lot of emotions and excitement. People are excited to hear how the money moved from one bank account and was transported, and money changed hands, and there's a lot of excitement, but it heads nowhere. Do you think they're genuine in the kind of what they do, or as it has been stated in some other quarters, that these forums are just actually served to sanitize some of these suspects, so that when they actually come on live TV and explain their case, they actually look, okay, maybe they did not really steal?
First of all, nobody is protected. But at the same time, as Rosa is saying, that there's a lot, even as Parliament, we need to start asking ourselves. Because for me, if really we wanted a genuine end to NYS, we would have left it where it had reached. It is very unfortunate. I don't know how they got it back on the floor of the House and back to the committee, because it had gone. You have recommended. In the end, what Ngumo is just going to do again, recommend to EACC to this. So imagine what we have just done is even protect these people more, because the more you drag these things and you bring them this side, it's like you have started a new case again, and therefore what will, for the next 5 years again, we'll still be talking about this. Even the next person who will want to come will want to do this. I want to tell my my colleagues in Parliament, we want to help this country. Let us not be one of those institutions that is also killing the cases that would have ended up. Because even if you go back now to the DPP, he's wondering, how do I continue with this case? Even the judge will be wondering, how do I continue with NYS case? The same people, when other things are now coming up, which are not on this case. So if I end up saying, this case has no water, does not hold or anything, people will blame me because of this. So I want to tell Parliament, it's as if we are going to help people who are supposed to be in jail to be roaming outside because of opening up this.
And being an election year, some of these people who've been mentioned and some of the people we've seen, some of the individuals who've appeared before these committees for grilling are running for political office. Now, it could be argued that this process has simply served to sanitize them and so that they can actually go ahead and run for office.
I think that's what it is, because let me ask you, if the same case is in court and the same case is in a parliamentary committee, what takes...
It's only that the court process will probably not be televised, but the parliamentary one will, and it tells something to the electorate.
The other thing that it tells, I want to use now Murkomen as an example. You see, they have brought in Murkomen, but when you look at it clearly, I mean, he was never a client of NYS. He was not. He was a legal person for one of the clients of NYS. So who are you supposed, if you want to do this case justice, who are you supposed to question so hardly? It is the person who brought in his legal advisor called Murkomen, who is Gedi, who is not supposed to be roving in the streets, by the way, supposed to be in jail. I mean, you look at this case of this guy of the Kedero, the county government, the guy who had Kiamba, 1 billion shillings. What did the judge say? That indeed nobody is allowed to even check in his account, and you're not supposed to question Kiamba, who his salary was 85,000, why he has 1 billion. Now, what we are doing also here as Parliament, we are sanitizing. You know, you look at people, you clean them, they look now perfecto, because they come and give you a story. It's like a movie. You know, somebody's just speaking as if it's a movie, and here Ngumbo is now saying, I'm really doing justice to Kenya. No, you've killed the story, you've killed the legal process, because, and I think as Kenyans we need to question, do we really need to have DPP, EFCC, I don't know who, 5 people
doing the same job,
and then now you go to the court?
But you know why I say that these people are not genuine? If Murkomen has been mentioned, and if what Senator is saying is true, that he had no links with, direct links with NYS, so why can't he come why can't he come before the park committee and be questioned and say it? Why should he be shielded when everybody else who's mentioned is being called? When you have special treatment, then already it shows that there is something else that is happening apart from finding the real truth of what took place. Moving away from that park story, but still with the auditor in Ministry of Health, I think if all Kenyans in the public service did their job like this man, I don't know him, but from what I hear, what he's saying, he seems to be an honest man who got a job and is doing the job the best way he knows how. But this comes back to what we were discussing, what we've discussed previously. Are we letting people do their jobs, or are we trying to interfere with people or commissions who've been given jobs, and in effect they end up not doing the job as they're supposed to do? Because clearly this man, he's done a decent job that he was asked to do and that he's employed to do, but now you can see interferences from people who are above him, you know, and this is what scares people from doing honest jobs and giving the country what the country deserves. Because you're scared that if you do this, you'll be branded an opposition mole.
Yes.
If you do something like this, you'll be told you're after somebody's life.
And that's exactly what he said yesterday before the committee, because he says here on page 6 of the Daily Nation, is quoted as saying, he told the committee, quote, "I have been a subject of insults. People have said I came up with a report for the purposes of hitting the government. If there's anybody who's patriotic, it is me." He's already feeling, and that's a history when it comes to whistleblowers. He's not the typical whistleblower, because he was simply doing his job as an auditor and raised questions in terms of raising an audit report. But he's already feeling that.
Now, let me say this, and I want to say thank you to the guy, regardless. But let me say this. I am one person as a Kenyan who gets very worried every day with all our Kenyans, even me myself, maybe even me. I need to get worried on my character and things that I say sometimes. And I want to say, the only problem I have with all Kenyans who we are working together, even us, is that we only come out and say these things when we know. And I pray to God that this is not what happened to this man. That when your kickback has not worked, now is when you become whistle. Because for me, I always ask, why should I be in a ministry? I wait for $1 billion, $1 billion, because 5 billion was not just chunked on one day. $1 billion. You are auditing. You audit me every time. $1 billion is when now you come and tell me in my ministry we are in hell. Really? First of all, I'll ask you, we have been auditing. Why didn't we stop it at $1 billion? But I'm just praying they did not play those games of theirs in those ministries, because there's not something, nowadays we know everything. Thank God, that's why God brought us sometimes to understand these things. People in our government have very interesting way of doing things, Fred. And you find when there is a tough in between, so you have refused to give me mine. See, I'm the one who do these papers. You wait and see. The only problem, I am not accusing. I'm just telling Gasheru, pray to God, and I pray to God that your innocence is as clear as you say in your mind. Cautiousness, that there is no place you sat down on a table, did a deal that did not work, and waited for 5 billion to go down the drain. Come and help us, Kenya.
Senator, I am saying, understand this scenario.
No, I am understanding. I'm just saying, and I'm saying to all Kenyans, why wait until 5? Why can't we do it even at, why even 1 shilling go? Why? This was Fred, if we really want to help, and that's why I'm saying, making it in a political move. For me, the only problem I have, and I know the PS is my friend, for me, I have a problem with all these technocrats who are very arrogant and very, very arrogant, who think the doorkeeper is a nobody. And that is where they are having all these problems of theirs.
Senator, when the new CS Mailu took over, he actually asked Musheru to give him to do an internal audit, which is normal, so that he could know where he's starting from, and he can know what he has and what he does not have. So he requested for it. So this man was working on request by the CS. So I don't think it's a case of there was a deal that he was involved in and he was not given. That is not the case here. But when the report comes out, a report which he insists that nobody else had access to except him and the CS, when the report comes out, an honest report according to what had been going on in the ministry, then we end up here. So what I'm saying is, we need to let people do the jobs that they are employed to do. And in all honesty, if we want to improve our services and if we want to improve our ministries, if a report comes out, let us act by that report, as opposed to saying, no, he's saying 5 billion was lost, no, it's only 3 billion that's lost, and the man is insisting. All I've given you is a clear, true picture of what is going on in the ministry. We must move from here and find out where the money has gone.
And of course,
and I repeat that, and I agree with Rosa on one thing.
Afia House dossier, he says, yes, that report, I prepared it myself. And he says that a 350 million supplementary budget was also released so close to the end of the financial year, creating opportunities for fraud.
He even says that the money that we're talking about was paid, like 800 million, was paid well before all those mobile clinics were even supplied. But we know that you cannot give full payment before supplies are complete.
Okay, what I'm saying, Fred, you can imagine it has taken Mailu, a new person, to come and ask before I sit down, and I think that's all what every new officer must do when you're coming. At least know your people, know what is happening, get what is there, and then from there you are able to now to say we can move on this way.
Okay.
I hope the auditor who is their own auditor, because they have an auditor in the Ministry of Health.
This is their auditor, the Ministry of Health.
That's what I'm saying. So you waited for Milo, a new person, to come and tell you, but in that time you were seated on this chair auditing for them,
and probably failing
I mean, at that time, were you not failing your job? Why now, when a new Milo comes in to ask you, and yet you have been the auditor of all of them before Milo?
Wow.
That is my question.
Mushere's position is definitely a difficult one, because questions are coming from left, right, center. But now let's move on from that, because when it comes to discussions of corruption, we go round and round. We still come to the point of helplessness once again, as the president put it. So let's talk about politics, because yes, this one we love to talk